Chicago, Illinois. It's the Visitors Locker Room, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, guys.
Hey, say those names again. I just started recording.
Okay.
In case they don't know it by sight, and
Right.
our text name in the corners.
Well, I mean, sometimes this is for our blind fans. It's the Visitors Locker Room, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nate Craig, CJ Sullivan in Hollywood, and Sean Flannery in Chicago. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Hi, guys.
How we doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, Flannery. It's been a while.
It wouldn't be a show with Sean Flannery unless he thanked us for having him on his own show. Always my favorite part of seeing you, Sean, and podcasting with you.
I was just saying I might as well change my background to match your guys' background.
Yeah.
What were you just saying though?
Let me get off the balcony here. There we go.
Get off your balcony, CJ.
We did this last week. We did this with the Jordan, the connecting backgrounds. It's Nate's baby. He likes to say it's a great idea. We think, and we went through a lot of legwork last week to do it with Hannibal, and he agreed upon it. We got it done, and then we recorded it in speaker view, so it didn't matter anyway. It fucked everything up. We can only handle one tech issue at a time here. So this week we're going to get it done, and now we have a very confusing picture.
It's funny. This picture, though, looks almost actually artistic, all chopped up and out of order in my view. I'm looking at it top, bottom, and middle, and it looks like it could actually be confused for actual art. But the painting itself is a restoration, a botched restoration, as the article likes to call it.
Should we get right into it? This is a Sean Flannery story, A1A, A plus Sean Flannery story right here.
This was my request that we talk about this on the sports show.
He's been emailing us daily with this story.
It is a great story.
I think he did say, we lead with the botch painting or I walk. He came up with it. He just likes saying that anyway. It's a fantastic story.
Don't open with any other stories and botch this episode.
Do you have the story open? I can open it if you don't, but reading it, the AP description of it is hilarious.
Yes. Hold on a second.
But this happened in Italy. And,
it's an epidemic of botching.
So they're in Italy. The way I stumbled into this, I think the headline I saw was it was something to the effect, Italian authorities considering a new law to stop botched restorations.
There it is.
Yeah.
Experts call for regulation after latest botched art restoration in Spain.
It's an industry. It's an entire industry.
It's in Spain. So it's in Spain, not Italy. But what so it's like these priceless works of art that these con men just like, hey, I could probably make that, snazz it up a little for you.
So art restoration's a business, obviously, because it's such old art over there, obviously in Spain, Italy, and things like this. And so it leads to some of our favorite people, just flat out liars and con men. And this guy says, yeah, I can restore. So they give him the project, and no one really checks out. There's no testing for that. Well, have you ever done that before? Yeah, I did a Mona Lisa.
How is there not? There's so much art that they are just hiring people that can restore priceless works of art.
This guy was a furniture restorer. What's his occupation? He fixed chairs, and I guess he's like, yeah, why not? It's like,
it's amazing.
I know how to get hired on Craigslist. Let me go talk to the manager of this museum.
A private art collector in Valencia was reportedly charged £1,200 by a furniture restorer to have the picture of the Immaculate Conception cleaned. However, the job did not go as planned, and the face of Virgin Mary was left unrecognizable, despite two attempts to restore it to its original state.
It's also like when you look at the pictures, like if any listeners go and go to this, Google this, it's hilarious because the pictures, like originally it looked like a classic piece of art, like something that if you saw in somebody's house, you'd be like, oh my God, tell me the history of this. And it now looks like when somebody claims they saw like Jesus on toast. Like it looks so bad.
They said it brought up memories of the famed monkey Jesus.
Monkey Christ.
The monkey Jesus is a different case where another dude was supposed to restore it, and he ended up turning Jesus into a chimp.
And that quote is great. Like, I don't think this guy or any of these guys should be called restoration guys. They're just they're basically carpenters, just hacking away. He could break down a couch. So he could bring it up a 5-story flight apartment building.
And I was saying, like, it's. I mean,
the painting looks good like this, though, Nate. You're right.
What's the original value on this painting, by the way? That they're just hiring any old asshole with his resume written in ink.
It's got to be tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, you don't restore anything that isn't worth, like, probably at least 5 digits. But like, it's so bad that I wish there were a reality show around this just to film the reveal. Because first of all, I guarantee the restorer, the con man, has figured out some way where he's not there for the reveal. Like, he's like, my assistant's going to actually show you the finished product. I'm doing I'm working with the Vatican.
I love Monkey Christ. Monkey Christ.
That's a funny one too.
So they pull the curtain off, and then it's just horror. I like when there's just horror when something is unveiled. Like, you'll have that with bronze statues. A lot are always unveiled, and like some of those Hall of Fame busts are like, that looks nothing like the people. And it's just like, it's like, we got to do it again.
These botched restorations are almost, I mean, at a certain point, I'd pay more for one of these than the actual original. The original was just a painting of a chick next to a fountain. This has got some, this represents humanity as we know it.
Here's some of these quotes are so great. He goes, restorers are far less important. Now, I realize that restorers are far less important than doctors, but come on. Because we need to invest a little bit in our heritage. He's like, but politicians just don't give a toss about it. He goes, we need to focus our attention on representatives to put heritage on the agenda. He goes, at least put it somewhere. Obviously, it's not like healthcare or employment, but come on. He goes, this is our history.
Go ahead, Nate.
The restoration looks like, what was that? That Civil War statue, the one that looked like it was just like made out of Play-Doh, like the eyes were just like rolled up Play-Doh in a circle. Like, it looks like some real new age, like, not properly trained. Like, what's the resume for these people that they're hiring these people?
Oh, it's great. Well, and we were talking before the show, just like the word botched is only used. Like, I love the word botched because it's only used when something is done with such bad workmanship that people are livid.
They were saying, like, things that are botched are like nose jobs, cosmetic surgery, restorations, butt attempts in sports is a botch, or a botch snap.
Botch snap.
Crimes are botched a lot too.
Crimes are botched a lot. Yeah, burglaries. Hits. We always say, like, there's always some like locally successful Kenosha businessman who tries to kill his wife the wrong way. Like.
I don't even know if there actually is a hired hitman. Like 99% of the time, it's an undercover cop.
FBI agents.
Right.
It's always so funny when you watch Dateline and they're like,
I know.
Yeah, well, we have a standing ad in Soldier of Fortune, and we get about 5 calls of that a week. And
Back page Hitman article.
I mean, there should be a clue.
You know what we should start doing just to fuck the police? All 3 of us should start calling those numbers like we want our wives killed, but we're really just wasting like 6 figures of FBI dollars every week because like we're not like giving them any information and we're just running them in circles and everything.
I'm sure they'll take to that nicely.
I want like we make them take us to a firing range and see how good of a shot they are.
I was going to say, those ads are always dicey too. A red flag should go up when it was like 10 grand or best offer. Like they're always like negotiating. Like I don't think a hitman would be, like he's selling you a car. You know what? If you got 7,500, I'll take 7,500.
I've always wanted to see Portland. Okay, I can work with you.
I tell you what, you put me up in a motel, we got yourself a deal. Pay for gas.
Find me somebody else to kill while I'm out there. I'll turn it into a twofer.
Yeah. Might as well make it a profitable trip.
Yeah, there's got to be code for it on Craigslist. You can't just come out and be like, wife assassin. Got to be some sort of language.
Well, we talk about CJ and I talk about all the time now, like when people do want to kill their wives, like what convicts everyone now is Google, because they always like 2 weeks prior to like one of the last guys I saw that got convicted off of like he just Googled, how do I kill my wife?
Yeah, how
like,
do I
not
kill
even
my
like
wife?
how do I poison her or how do I execute her? Like Google, just tell me what do I start with,
And then the best ways to kill wife. How do I clear my Google history? After that. Is it legal for cops to take my computer and search this? Will this fuck me?
I was watching the Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. There's a story about this French dignitary and his family. Mm-hmm. He kills his whole family. And, this is computers exist when he does this. 2 weeks before the murder, he inherits a rifle from his dad. 1 week after that, he goes and buys a silencer that only fits that rifle.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's like he was not worried about a paper trail at all.
Well, that's the other thing with Daylight. It's all, they like keep the receipts in like the bed of their truck, and they always get and they always buy items that are like a murder cleanup kit, like at Home Depot. They don't throw anything off, like to throw them off their set.
Yeah, they don't go to multiple stores,
right.
or something like that.
At least a teenager buying condoms will put other items on there to try to trick them. They're just like, give me gloves, lime, rope, garbage bags, body sized.
How do you sell yourself as a painting restoration?
That's what I love about it, Nate. That I just love that Southern Europe, like where the Renaissance started and everything, is just so old that this is a viable criminal career.
Right. Clearly, they invest in the arts more if they can sustain this entire industry.
I would love, this to me would be like the funniest Law and Order spinoff, like Law and Order Art, where they're just like
Art VU.
Yeah, and they're just like they're talking to they're working the case and they're talking to like coworkers, like, what, Tony? Yeah, I want art restore? No way.
So many. And the classic bartender, like, yeah, I saw him in here. Yeah, he was sitting right down there. That character is now all art professors.
Yeah, I would love to see that Law and Order paradigm of people just like nonplussed talking about a crime while they're working their job in the art world.
Yeah, I wouldn't hire him to decorate my garage. His lines were off. He didn't understand contour, composition. He was a mess. I failed him in the first semester.
This quote about this guy, the professor who's just so mad about this. He goes, I don't think this guy or these people should be referred to as restorers. Let's be honest. They're bodgers who botch things up. They destroy things.
Bodgers?
Bodgers. A botching bodger.
That's what I'm going to start to call that. Crow would love that for Wisconsin. Well, he's a Wisconsin fan, but the Wisconsin Bodgers.
Yeah, the Bodgers. The botching Bodgers. That's what a good team. The Redskins should call themselves. The Bodgers.
Yeah, there's nobody that gets more. I mean, that's a really fun segment of society. Enraged artists.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, in some ways, it's like the perfect crime to get into, because like it's almost victimless in that you're only affecting rich private art owners who are assholes too, like
victimless crimes. Fine. When you start getting into fine art and expensive wine, and you start fooling those people,
are even better. Like the New Yorker had a fascinating article, like I don't know, it was like 5-10 years ago, on like the greatest wine conner of con man of all time, and it's hilarious because like he's like all con men. He gets caught because he's too greedy, but he became famous when he found Thomas Jefferson's lost array of wine in France, like in some like basement that he said used to be like a hotel that Thomas Jefferson stayed at, and he sold it for like $1 million. Then he finds George Washington's lost vineyard, and then he like goes way too far, and he said he found something like it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, I found the wine that was served at the Last Supper. Like I can't, like it was ridiculous.
Found it.
Like, how does this guy have this much luck? And then they
with
look
the
at
fruit, with the fruit bowl. Can you believe that?
It was in my neighbor's garage.
Blessed by the big man himself.
But
I
it's
just
like,
love
no one was mad at him because he only conned assholes. I mean, the kind of person that spends $1 million on a bottle of wine has already conned millions of innocent other people in housing or something like that.
Those are some of my favorite documentaries. There's a documentary on Netflix. I think it's on whatever. It's a famous documentary. I'm not sure if it's called Sour Grapes, but it's something like that, where a guy, this kid basically conned the wine drinking community. No, and like he didn't get any time. It was like, fuck it, it's there's rich assholes. And then my favorite one is that My Kid Can Draw. That one, you've seen that one?
Oh yeah, that one's great.
When they got this little girl as this artist, and all these New York art snobs are paying millions of dollars, and it turns out it was the dad drawing it. And they're like, oh well.
Yeah, you pay for the story.
Right. You bought the painting, didn't you?
Yeah,
this right here, the thing about this is I like, clearly they didn't care enough about this painting in the first place. The only people that knew about this thing didn't care enough about it to even look at somebody's fucking website.
That is true.
They hired them.
That is true. I mean, like, how do you find, like, hey, like, Phil, do you know anyone who restores art? I'm my cousin, Vinny. That is true. You'd go to a museum and do providence on the people.
Sean, you got a good look for a art restorer con man, a bodger, if you will.
I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely, you could.
I could see myself being accidentally good at it, though.
That'd be what an awful mistake that would be.
I love it, Sean.
When you unveil it, you're like, that's actually not bad. I was not expecting this.
I honestly thought I was gonna have to keep the keys in the car when I unveiled it.
Well, I mean, you already have the creative impulse when you were describing what the monkey Christ started looking like the burnt toast. I thought you were gonna say it looked like an alien somebody saw in a field, but I mean, you got that creative impulse in you.
Let's try it. I'll try it. I don't know how much. I don't know how much fine art needs to be restored in the Midwest, but
well, I mean, there's
dogs playing poker originals that have a lot of smoke damage.
Yeah, there's a Chicago Bear helmet they put on the line in front of the art museum. That's got to be kept up in good condition. There's the painting you made for Michael. You still have that picture?
I have that.
Drew?
I actually have that right here.
Put that up. That's amazing.
This is a parody of. Have you guys followed that artist on Twitter?
You call it a parody. I think it's genuine art.
There's this guy who does these Trump paintings that are super over the top, but he does them earnestly, like they're not ironic. And it's
I've seen that on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing poker with all the Republican presidents. Right. And all this. So this is a Chicago. I may have to turn off.
Turn off your background. It's okay.
My background, but
oh yeah, that looks familiar.
This is a Chicago painting that we did.
Awesome.
That actually probably works. I don't need to turn off.
Yeah, your works good.
Sean, you did that?
Yeah.
That's great.
Mike Ditka. I don't think everyone got the joke, but it's Mike Ditka,
right,
playing with Dennis Farina.
Dennis Farina, yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Dennis Farina, right?
Farina, thank you. Billy D. Williams, not Ronnie Woo Woo, as a lot of Cubs fans thought. Svengoolie, Abraham Lincoln, and the Empire Carpet Guy.
Perfect.
It's like it's in the vein of those, like The Godfather having dinner with the Sopranos.
You and I always loved that, CJ. Like when we would go to like Chicago street festivals.
Every festival had those paint. Yep.
It's but the choice of what they think manly villains or anti-heroes that you want to see, because it would be like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Right, Jack Sparrow would be in there.
Yeah, with like like Darth Vader or something like that, all having a drink, and Paul Newman's in there as Paul Newman.
The Three Stooges are in the corner for some reason. Like,
when you're selling trash to idiots, you got to hit every demographic. You can't
CJ,
leave.
didn't you steal one at like 6 p.m. and then have to like carry it with you into like bars for the rest of the night?
Not my proudest moment, but also one of my proudest moments. I think we bought something. He wanted like a ridiculous. The guy was being unreasonable when it came to negotiating. If you ask me, that's the kind of thing you back and forth banter with, and he wouldn't budge off like $40. Come on. So in the spirit of the dinner guests and the mobsters, yeah, it was like a.
You earned yourself a seat at the table.
Me and Brady Novak did like a bait and switch disguise thing, and then we took off in the middle of the street fest. And you're right. Then I had to keep it with me all night with the plastic on. I don't think I ever made it back to my place. Brady might still have that, actually.
At the risk of delay or extending painting talk too long,
let's do it. I'm all for converting the show to an art,
fine art discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite stories that you told me when you and I first started hanging out is there used to be this guy. I think I saw him perform once. He was kind of on his way out of the scene as I was coming in, and his name was Eddie Ruckus. Now, Nate, you probably knew Eddie Ruckus.
I remember Ruckus.
And CJ tells this story where CJ like loaned him some money for like a couple shots some night where Eddie was out of money or something like that. And
I was just getting drinks or something. We'd be out of money. Whatever, I'll get you a beer. Well, it was very, very innocuous,
Yeah. And Eddie comes up to him.
We'll call it a loan.
A few weeks later, he goes to CJ and goes, by the way, need to know what your favorite animal is.
Yeah. Like he's giving a Teen Bop interview. Favorite color, favorite animal.
I think you said cougar.
I said panther.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know. Panther.
So Eddie Ruckus comes into an open mic 2 weeks later, and it's a black panther he's painted on velvet.
Framed. Like framed.
Thanks for the Jaeger bombs.
It's a Ruckus original, yeah.
Eddie Ruckus. I heard.
I was like, thanks, dude. I got the perfect place for this in my studio. I'll put this panther in my nightstand, I guess.
Ruckus original. What a name, Eddie Ruckus.
He was great. He was like a stuntman for Tobey Maguire or something.
He was a stand-in. He was a stand-in.
Yeah, he was like what do they call that when they just bring you in for lighting? And all that?
Yeah, stand-in, right? He
wasn't well trained enough to do the actual stunt. You don't send Eddie Ruckus on a stunt mission,
Right.
Like,
what's the one to do? Like, he's going to take a punch. Like, all right, cut. All right, stand in. And then Ruckus comes in and just has to take it. Like, get the star out of there.
I always find it so weird when you always see
Hold up. Did he try to pass that off? Was he trying to pay you back for the shots? Is that where that painting come from?
It wasn't a payment system. It was more of a, you looked out for me. I'm looking out for you.
Here's your panther.
Here's a painting of your favorite animal.
Mm-hmm. Makes perfect sense.
It's so awesome.
It was great. Oh, man. Botch Bodger. That's so good.
So did you see today, I know we were going to get to some baseball, but I think St. Louis can't play baseball either now.
Sure, we can talk some baseball.
In terms of botched attempts.
Yeah, that is absolutely botched. Should we switch to baseball? I'm just getting sick of this.
Let's do it.
Major League Baseball is just absolutely hilarious right now.
Yeah.
They're they did so many things like for COVID, like except for the one thing that matters is what to do when people get COVID. They keep like a 150-page booklet of wet rags, don't spit on this, you can't touch this.
They only focused on like the human excretory system on the field of play. Like they focused on chewing tobacco,
right?
Pitchers licking their fingers. Like they didn't think about traveling at all. Like that wasn't on the radar.
It's
as
unbelievable.
A potential concern.
Not one medical expert says that this is a good idea to have these guys just flying around the country.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe they're not in a bubble of some kind of controlled environment. Like You can't just have these fucking guys gallivanting all around. Yeah, so the Marlins, they just had an outbreak, which is apparently it's funny, like the rumors that they went to a strip club the night before the season started, like in Atlanta.
In Atlanta. So what does that mean? They were that was their spring training was for them in Atlanta?
Well, they had like an exhibition game there first, and then their season started in Philly. So they all got it in Atlanta, flew to Philly.
They're traveling for exhibition game. I mean, that's not a good start, period.
No.
Also, what's going on in these Atlanta strip clubs being open for business? That's where Lou Williams got hit with getting those wings.
Everything. I can understand it.
No,
Yeah, but Atlanta's one of those cities, like Portland's the same way, where it's like if grocery stores are open, strip clubs are open. Like that's part of our culture, you know?
Right. Yeah, and then that's part of the dining experience, the wings.
I get it too. I like to think that I'd be responsible if I was in my 20s, especially if I was a 20-year-old athlete. I mean, good news. Imagine making it into the league in this scenario. You know, good news, bad news. Okay, good news is you get to play professional sports. Bad news is no more pussy.
You weren't responsible in your 20s when you had $40, let alone when you had these guys with $40 million.
I love my grandma, but you know what else I love? My 20s. So, like, I'm a pro baseball player.
But that's why the government just needs to shut this kind of shit down, or Major League Baseball at a commissioner level needs to shut it down, because you can't rely on 21-year-old millionaires.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There's no one in charge. Like the Marlins had like a players vote on if they should play the games. Like, yeah, fuck it, we'll play. Like, shouldn't someone be stepping in and saying, yeah?
It was a giant red flag when Canada was like, Toronto, you're not doing this. So like when a mature country got involved, they're like, absolutely not. Like Major League Baseball wasn't even allowed to finish their plan. They got like 2 sentences in, like, no, you're playing in Buffalo.
That's amazing.
And like five responsible cities also rejected them too, and then they had to go to because originally they're like, we are not playing at a minor league stadium.
I like Toronto asking their parents if they can go to the party with America teams. Come on, everybody's going. I don't give a damn who's going. Who's going to be there? The Marlins? No, absolutely not. The Mets? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like Justin Trudeau's just like, well, I'm not in charge of the Yankees, so I don't care what they do.
I'm responsible for what happens in this bedroom, in this house, in the Honda Center, or the Rogers Center, wherever Toronto is. Yeah. So where are they playing their games?
They're playing in Buffalo's minor league, which is the biggest. It used to be it still is, I think, the Cleveland Indians AAA facility. And people from Buffalo would always argue, because we have a 20,000 seat minor league stadium, we should be the next team that gets Major League Baseball, because we love baseball here. And I love that they finally are getting it, and none of them can attend a game. But it is a pretty big stadium. I think it's the biggest minor league stadium in America.
Yeah, that sounds big. So half the team, so the Cardinals, Phillies, Yankees, they've all been all because of the Marlins, but they've already missed a week. How are they going to possibly? I mean, the best is that then they said, well, Manfred, the commissioner, just blamed the players.
Yeah,
he's hilarious. He's blaming the players for getting COVID. What their reckless attitudes. He's going to tell you what, and he's like a parent. If one more player gets it, I'm shutting this season down for good. I'm turning the car around.
No, you're not.
And then 3 more Cardinals got it. It's like, all right, we're playing. Oh yeah, we're playing. He's like all tough.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I didn't drive half this way not to go to your grandmother's house.
It's wild.
Go ahead, Nate.
What do you expect these guys? They're 25-year-old meatheads, dude. They can't even stop. The first thing that, right here, this Astros Dodgers fake fight. Every baseball fight I've ever seen has been a fake fight. It's perfect for social distancing. They still can't not trot out there and act like fucking and pretend to be fucking tough guys. It's like, yeah, what are you asking for? What job did you think you took? You're the commissioner of baseball. It's fucking 325-year-old meatheads. More.
This fight was so baseball too, because one was everyone was paying back for the Astros for cheating or whatever. and it was Joe Kelly, but it was like it was assumed that it was going to happen. So Kelly, the Dodgers pitcher, he's just throwing at every guy's head, guy's head. Umpire does nothing. He didn't even give him a warning. And then eventually, like he did it so many times, he wound up striking the guy out because the guy's fearing for his life on every pitch. And then when he struck him out, he's going back to the dugout. He stuck his tongue out at him.
He did. He
taunted him. And that's why I guess it's been 8 games. They said that's what they're upset about. It was the taunting. We don't care if you throw a ball 90 miles an hour to some guy's face. Like you don't taunt.
Part of the game.
Yeah, that's part of the game. That's just
You do not boo-boo in our league.
Nope, absolutely not. So now they said if you are going to argue and fight, you still have to keep social distancing. They said that in the rules. Like yelling, coaches and umpires yelling at each other from 6 feet away. Oh, look, this is hilarious with the masks on.
Or having to put the mask on as they go out to yell at each other is great.
It's just so like funny. To put on the jacket. I used to always say that if I was in a baseball fight, I'd be the guy very late off the dugout, getting the jackets for everyone, making sure from the bullpen. You know, I like those old pitchers with the jackets on, the slow jog. Like, are we really doing this? Are we really having a fight? Or I'm just gonna look for a friend to shake. Fun,
it's the funniest. It's the funniest jogging pace I've ever seen because it's slightly it's like slightly above middle-aged man starting his first week of workout, you know, and but
not as quick as a valet drive.
Yeah, it's below me running late for a train.
It is a speed on a blender. It's a speed on a treadmill.
Right. Yeah, it's a very distinct
relief pitcher coming in.
And it shows how unworried they are that no one's actually going to get hurt. Like the total casualness they have in their pace.
Never seen a punch thrown in a baseball fight. I love that the arguments. If a manager wants to argue with an ump, it's got to be 6 foot. That just, I mean, jump right to kicking dirt on home plate. Just jump right to throwing fucking garbage cans onto the field. Like, don't even talk. You know, he knows what your problem is with the call. He knows you think that was not a strike. Just fucking cut right to the fucking good stuff and start throwing bats on the field.
You should.
They need to. That is funny with baseball fights. They do use their equipment a lot more than everyone else. You know, like everyone went crazy last year for the guy from the Browns who used his helmet. You know, that's like an everyday thing with baseball. They love whipping that helmet. It's like almost like a declaration. Like, you, sir, are getting challenged, you know.
Smacking somebody with a glove.
Right, exactly. And they're always so wildly, like, because they do like a full wind-up. And then the pitcher just dodges like that, and they always, like, spike it off their own foot. It's always like a cartoon.
They might as well wear white gloves.
Yeah,
fucking off the fucking fingers. You, sir.
Right. That one had movement on it. I was watching last night some of that Yankee Red Sox game. And I used to be like, replace all the umps with robots, but now I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. Get rid of these. Get rid of the K-zone. Get rid of all these. I want more. I just want more incorrect things and more arguing. You know, I want more umpiring in there. And I want the umpires affecting the game more with their awfulness.
Baseball is where we go when we want to escape technology.
Right. I want things between the margins.
If I like technology, I'd be watching basketball.
DJ, I think I like what you're saying there. You want umpires for the umpires.
Well, I mean, I want more botching. To be honest with you, I want calls botched.
Yeah,
I want
it to be like almost like a royal monarchy, like no system of appeals, like often wrong.
How have we? That's fun. How have we never seen umpires fight each other?
That would be great. Well, because they're like cops. They always have.
I was just gonna say they got a stronger union in the police. Oh yeah. That's a thin blue line.
They all like. It doesn't matter how bad you fuck up a call. Like no umpire will ever criticize another umpire. And they are in every other alternate universe. Every umpire is a cop in all the other infinite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a country,
or country stinger, right?
Oh, did we say that in unison? Because
Yeah,
I was thinking, was it Joe West? Who
Joe
was it?
West, yeah. Country Joe West.
Defund the umpires. Yeah,
The umpire.
they do definitely defer to the robots, though. It'd be fun if all the instant replay was just another team of umpires that came out and told them and described what
That would
they
be
missed.
great. And they always saw it. Should be like police internal reviews where there's the facade of a review, but 99.999% of the time they just roll with the umpires.
That was kind of the one funny thing of the NFL last year when they added the pass interference challenge review.
Yeah.
Because the Saints Rams was so botched, it cost the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, okay, this year you can review it, and every single time the referees were like fake looking into it. Yep, no, it stands, because they were so mad they were so mad that they're being questioned on this. They're like, yeah, we'll review it. Sure, no, it stands. They're like, you're looking at your phone. Yeah, I know, whatever.
And why do you have the guy who called it review his own
I know.
thing?
We don't think you got it right.
Yeah. Like, officer, did he deserve to die? You betcha. Okay.
That's fun.
You better believe it.
You better believe it. That's fun. I'd like to see an umpire ejection.
The old Brady Novak umpire call.
You missed 2 calls. The ump's got to walk off the field. Ump's got to fucking, you're out of here.
Umps ejecting umps?
Umps ejecting umps.
Okay, I like that.
Ump on ump crime.
The new rules, this whole shortened, I love how they talk about if they're even going to get these 60 games in, too. I said it's like they're talking like they're updating the status of a coma patient. They're like, honestly, last week if you asked me, I'd say no way, dead on arrival. I mean, there's just no way we're doing it. But now, give it a 40% chance that we make it to Labor Day. We might sneak in a round of barbecue games.
Well, I don't understand how this is even really that big. Look, you already started the season. I don't care if 14 Marlins have – I mean, how big is your farm system? Like 5,000 players? Like, what are we talking about? It's just increase the roster size and just plug in new guys. They're watchable. They're all professional athletes. We can watch the next 14 guys up in the Marlins organization.
I know. Well, that's what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to have to replace half the team, I guess. And it's the staff, too. It's not just the players. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, why are they traveling around? It's just outrageous. And it's a jammed 2 months, 60 days, which I was always for. I was always for, actually, more games, less days.
Yes.
I wanted to be 200 games in 100 days, double headers, 9 to 5, like a real job, lunch, and it's timed. It's over at noon, start at 1.
Double headers each day.
Just the summer. The whole season happens from June to August.
They
go to work like the rest of us.
They could have easily done 162 games.
Yeah.
In that time period.
For sure.
Double headers each day.
Right. Each day. Just keep wild on. So it's funny that we should say that. That should be the name of our segment. It's funny you should say that, Sean. Because they are going to start doing some doubleheaders. They're proposing 7-inning doubleheaders, like college. I like how baseball hasn't changed a rule in 150 years.
It's amazing.
and now because of this, fuck it. Everyone's got a DH. Put a guy on second base in extra innings.
And it shows how just money is what rules everything.
That's all it is.
Because you'll ask about some rules which make no fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't change that. If we change that, how are we going to know that a hitter from 1847 is any better or worse than a hitter from 2018? We can say that definitively now because our rules never change. And then they're like, by the way, this, you won't be able to get your TV contract. They're like, all right, we're going to start the 9th inning with 4 men on base. All right, there's going to be an additional base that we add. Ghost runners, we have ghost runners. We're everything.
We put out a T in the 12th inning. If it gets that far, they can no more pitching. So yesterday I was watching the Angels-Astros game, and the outfielder Taylor Ward, I think, for the Angels, he made this great catch in the extra innings, like against the wall. But then he's like, he either forgot about this new arbitrary rule that there was a guy on second to start off the inning, or he just flat out ignored it. And it's like, I'm not even going to acknowledge that there's a guy there. He's like casually jogging and then throwing the ball in the stand. So the guy tagged up. He wasn't going to, but since this guy he just forgot he was there. And he looked out and he realized what he did. He's like, fuck this rule. You can see him just say, fuck this rule. and of course, cost him the game.
There's got to be better ways. There's got to be a better way. The arbitrary runner on second is so dumb.
It's such a stupid rushed. It encapsulates their whole COVID plan. That like, well, won't the extra innings kill our bullpen?
Right.
If we put a guy on second.
You know what's funny about
you should expand the roster, and have more relief pitchers, but keep the integrity of the game. There's a million ways you could do it, but keep not that I care about integrity, but
that right there, the man on second is like college football. Like when you start overtime on the 20, 25, you got 4 downs or whatever it is. I mean, you might as well just be like, whoever hits more home runs in batting practice.
That would be
whoever hits more home runs in batting practice wins the game if it's a tie after 9 innings.
Yeah.
There.
Well, funny you should say that, because what it has shown, I guess, this extra inning rule is that it really hasn't affected today's modern game, because baseball players are so bad at like situational baseball nowadays. So they're taught you either hit a home run, walk, or strike out. Yeah. And like, so the guy starts on second, they never bunt him over. Everyone on Twitter's like, why aren't they bunting? Like, I never was.
They don't know he's there.
Like, and so I think it was Tim Kirchner or something. He was like saying like that, because that's what I was worried about with this thing. Goes, it's going to show how bad baseball players are at actually playing baseball, like situational baseball, where we can't score a run with a guy already standing at second base.
With no outs.
Right. Telling a player today to bunt is like giving a kid a rotary phone and asking him how to figure, like, hey, call someone. What is it? They'll try to just, what do you even do? You open this thing up, or what kind of song? Who the fuck bunt? What's a bunt?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, that's automatic. You get them over. They don't even.
Sean, who is the best shortstop in 1865 since you brought him up?
I don't know.
Well, actually, Nate, they say for some reason, and I'm sure I guess the numbers are the numbers. They actually say the top half of the inning, bunting it's like 50-50 to bunt, because you should be going for to score 2 runs, I guess. But in the bottom half, obviously you should bunt them over if the score is tied.
Oh, because the first run is worthless when they got a man on second too.
Right, because they're going to want it, and they're going to score anyways. You figured, but whatever. But you're a 19th century expert, right, Sean? The baseball?
I don't know.
I know a little bit about 19th century baseball.
Who's the MVP that died crossing the Niagara Falls?
Big Ed Delante. Big Ed Delante. That's an amazing story. If that happened today, it would be the most ridiculous story of all time.
Big Ed Delante.
Big Ed.
The summer
Big Ed.
The summer after he won the Triple Crown, he died going over Niagara Falls after he was thrown out of a train for being too drunk. Like, imagine if that happened to, like, Mike Trout, Like,
right. Yeah.
He's going over Niagara Falls.
The train and the falls happen on the same day?
So, no, there was a train on a bridge over Niagara River. And I guess he was drunk and he had like a razor blade and he was threatening to kill everybody. And they somehow like were able to like get him off the train. And then he fell into the river and went into over Niagara Falls and died. And like the Cubs, I think he might have played for the Cubs at the time. I can't remember who he played for, but they're like, this is a big change to the roster. The one the Triple Crown last year just died. Like, how? He fell off Niagara Falls.
That's great. Yeah, the Yankees got a hold of Phil. Aaron Judge fell off Niagara Falls and is dead.
Just dying over Niagara Falls.
That's a big bat they got to replace.
Yeah, big bat and a straight razor.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that used to die going over Niagara Falls. That was like kind of, because that was a big like Daredevil thing.
Right.
That they would do, like go over it in barrels and all that.
Yeah, back when people trusted barrels more.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the issue is it's an atrocious way to die if you're in a barrel. Because I guess the issue is you go over and it's
No
like
fun.
if you don't hit rocks, it's like not that high. So everyone's reasoning is like, oh, it's only 200 feet or whatever it is. Maybe it's not even that much, but they're like, I can easily survive that in a barrel into water. But the problem is like the water pressure just pushes you down to the ground,
Yeah,
and
like
you
a
never.
buoy.
So then you just sit in a barrel until you die.
Wait a minute. Back up. So you get in a barrel
Yep.
first, with the barrel in the water, whatever.
Yep.
It sinks you.
So what happens when you go over the falls?
Don't you keep going up and down like a buoy? Like
No.
Yeah.
So most of the people like weren't able to like kind of leave like the main like pressure drop of the waterfalls.
Right.
So the water, the continuous pressure of the
Oh,
waterfall.
the water.
was-
I see. Well, hammers
was
you
just
down.
keeping them at the bottom of Niagara River.
Yeah, that's a very underrated, terrible way to die.
Yeah, definitely not as fun as it looks on the postcard.
But it's definitely take a mental note for that when you could give your favorite answer of when someone asks you a question, your answer is easy.
Worst way to go, easy.
Worst way to die, easy.
Barrel under the falls.
Getting absolutely annihilated by a waterfall inside of a barrel in Niagara Falls.
Well, I guess the reason it used to happen all the time is like Niagara Falls, like they would sell all these like lakefront waterfall properties, and it used to just be all owned by just like thousands of different bars and hotels, and they would sponsor a guy to go over like, hey, come down to McSorley's and we got Tiny Bill going over
Right.
a barrel, and then
I mean,
Tiny Bill can make it. Big Ed, no. Tiny Bill can hide in that barrel and sneak out the side when the
Dave
water.
Hatch, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, stunt advertising is a lost art. You don't do. There's not too much more of the stunt publicity.
Well, remember, this was before my time, but I always love watching old ads. They used to say the biggest day in sports was the Kentucky Derby, and then Evel Knievel would do a stunt right after that.
Yeah,
Like,
stunt programming was hot in the 70s.
Yeah, so they'd be like, the biggest day in sports. You have the
Right.
fastest 2 minutes of sports. Then Evel Knievel jumps over Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
Yeah, when was the last time? I guess David Blaine kind of filled that void.
Well,
There was that one dude who walked across the skyscrapers in Chicago.
Yeah, and they do the what is it, the Manito, whatever brothers and the Wandala brothers will do the tightrope walking.
Oh yeah, the Walindas.
Walendas, yeah, but they're like on cords now because obviously ABC is not going to let them not do it with cords. They're pretty amazing. A family, just the family business is tightrope walking, and they have his kids like on these like pommel horses things, and their parents are just throwing things at them to trade them. Walking across the Empire State Building, like this is it. No net, and they're firm no net believers. So like if you have a net, you're not doing it.
You gotta learn to fall. You gotta learn to fall before you learn to walk.
Right.
I mean, I guess the advantage of being a no net person is if you're talking about the Empire State, I mean, how do you even net that? I mean,
well, yeah, I know. Right, that's true. And the dad, I mean, they all died. They all do. They all died doing it because they got so old, they just can't stop doing it because it's in their blood. Like, I'm going to do it at 74. And the footage of him
die.
Right, that's how they want to do it. And the footage of him dying, I think it was like in Brazil or something.
I saw that. That's terrible.
It's terrible. You saw it, and you see him going down like, and it's almost like
spends a few minutes
right.
fighting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, just give up, Bolt. Just go for it. This is what you want to do.
Hey, what does he fall off of? Describe it.
I mean,
he just hits these winds, and he kind of can't deal with it.
He's got a balancing stick, you know.
And
he tries to take
any more progress. Then he goes down onto his knees, and he can't get back up. And then
he takes a knee, and then it's over.
You don't see him die. You just see him fall off the rope.
You just see him give up.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he kind of does like a little pointing.
Well, it's been a good run.
They always told me there was only one way out of this business. Down.
Well, what goes up, as they say. Oh man, real quick, let's talk. I wanted to talk about the team name change. I know your Indians almost had to change your team name, but you, Sean, who was an expert in 19th century baseball, you were talking about old team names that they should bring back.
Oh, I love those.
Because the Washington Redskins obviously are just doing, which has been hilarious with the Washington Redskins. They, well, Washington football team are now called.
It was amazing that they thought we can rebrand this franchise in a month.
Right.
While we plan for COVID and just like get our team ready.
Exactly. They still don't have a name. They're calling football like this is a placer. It's kind of like those like video games that don't have the rights, you know, like the NFL rights or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the Chicago Football Club with quarterback 9 versus, you know, versus Wisconsin meat developers. And like so they've been holding on because one they got to get like the copyright laws, I guess, for all the team names. So there's always like these trolls that get up all the team names, like all the domain names and shit. So they have to wind up having to buy it off some asshole.
Yeah.
The Washington Red Tails and Washington whatever. I think they should call themselves the Washington Lady A's. And just get in that lawsuit. There's that Lady Antebellum lawsuit, you know, she's with Lady A. Just jump into another race mix.
Yeah, just call yourself the Washington Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sean said they should be called the Generals.
Yeah, the Washington Generals. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, the old baseball team. Why not?
Basketball.
Or
yeah,
basketball.
the team that used to get kicked around by the
baseball was
Globetrotters.
Senators. Yeah.
Baseball Senators. Generals is the team that lost to the Globetrotters all the time.
Yeah.
I like Generals because it sounds good, first of all. The logo would be great. The merchandising is great. Yes, you'd be associating yourself with the perennial loser whipping boy of the Harlem Globetrotters. But, I mean, at a certain point, you overcome all that with selling merchandise. Like, what – Red Tails is what, an airplane? That's like a bomber?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. Focus group that merch. That's all.
I always said keep the name Redskin. Just change your logo. Don't have a racist Indian head on there. Have like a sunburned Irishman like me on there.
Have one of your season ticket holders.
Yeah, absolutely. Have my face on your helmet. A cop on vacation look.
The
Redskins.
The Irish do not complain about mascots.
Absolutely not. Right. We're the Fighting Irish. No one cares about that. Like we're talking about a stereotype. It's just a leprechaun in a street fight.
The Washington Potato Eaters.
Everybody, the only merchandise they sell, it's like when you get when kids get like a picture of their face on a shirt at the mall. That's like every Redskin is their own logo. Every Redskin fan is their own logo.
Let me bring up that text you sent, Shunks. This is where I have to remind Sean of what he said and wrote.
Yeah, I usually don't recall it. Go ahead.
The team names you said you checked up on.
Oh, well, I remember the old, like the 19th century ones, if that's where you're going. I remember some of them. Like the Boston Bean Eaters. That's a great
Boston Bean Eaters, Brooklyn Bridegrooms.
Bridegrooms is pretty amazing.
The Chicago Orphans.
Is that real?
Yeah, these are all real baseball teams, like that were from the 19th century.
They should bring back this, smallpox.
Bridegrooms and orphans. There were a ton of like different colored socks, like like the Red Sox.
Yeah, why was stocking so big back then?
Yeah, I think just like clothing costs so much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, was socks a luxury item?
Yeah. Like that was where you would identify yourself.
And they were definitely wool socks. I mean, they were like they had to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't anklets.
It's a costume. There was more pageantry involved.
And that's why the whole stockings by the fire, because they would literally nail their socks up against a fireplace to get them warm, because they were just out in fucking hell, snow and everything.
Or gross, disgusting baseball sweat. A doubleheader's worth of disgusting baseball sweat pinned up next to the fire.
Yeah, so I think like what they should pick, like it doesn't. I mean, what made those old time names so funny is they were like so contemporaneous. Like the name was so related to the current time, it made no sense in 10 years. And I think that's what they should do. They should pick something so modern, it doesn't make sense in 10 years.
Like a buzzword of today.
Yeah,
The-
yeah.
The
Like
Washington,
like
the Washington hashtags.
like synergies is almost dated, but something like that, you know.
I hear what you're saying. Well, Zoom calls for crying out loud. No one's gonna know what that is in a year. Anytime there's like a new league, like I feel like there's always been like an indoor soccer league or something like that. It's always a modern. It seems like there's a new soccer league growing up at least every 5 years. There's a new one that would burn out and be a new one, and they would always have those weird modern team names that were only for that era, like Jordan, the Radicals, and like it's just like 80s slang and shit.
We
Like,
had
no,
one in
MLS,
Cleveland that was like good for its league that was called The Force, that was a straight up Star Wars ripoff. And like just luckily the league never got big enough to shut it down. But like Darth Vader would come out, like they would play Star Wars song. Like their official logo that like the world saw was like this like just like tough guy kicking a soccer ball. But inside it was 100% Star Wars.
That's
like
amazing.
Stadium, yeah.
How you skirt it. That's how you skirt royalties.
Sean, you were talking about the NFL. Their COVID plans are actually even funnier than baseball's. I don't think they've announced they're going to do a bubble yet, too. But you said you had an insider who was telling you about the internal conversation.
I have a buddy, like I can't give like too many details, but he's pretty high up at one of the organizations, and he was telling me that he's you guys have actually met him before, but he's a really good guy. He was saying so.
Sean's going to say his full name and job title and team in about 90 seconds. But go ahead. That's my prediction for this segment.
He was saying like
Tony Baselli.
The owners are in total denial.
Right.
About, they want to have not only a full season, but they want to have fans in the stadium. Like there's just so much money, involved. But he was saying, so like where he's at, and to his knowledge, this is the plan everywhere, is the entire organization is divided into 3 rings.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first ring is like the players and most important coaches, like not even the assistants, the coordinators and the coaches. And they get tested like, I think every 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second ring is like, your valuable staff and like highest level PR, and they get tested, I think, once a week. And everyone who enters the premises gets a temperature check, even the wait staff and all that. And then the third ring is that bottom staff, I think, that is just checked on a they don't get COVID tests. They get like temperature checks. But this is what's amazing about it. You're not allowed to interact with somebody from it's like an Indian caste system. Like, so like if a first ring walks in the door, the second ring's got to leave.
Yeah.
Because they could infect a more important person.
That's
amazing. It's a dystopia. The way he explained it is a total dystopia.
They're such a denial. That's so funny. They're such a denial. First of all, the sport itself makes it almost impossible to play during this. Like baseball, at least there's separation.
Yeah.
Basketball, if they're in a complete bubble, I can see it. I guess so, But this is 100 men, full contact with each other. The Broncos put out this hilarious video today on Twitter, like a promo video, like, time to go to work, but first we sanitize. And every player was going through. It looked like a TSA security thing at the airport. It was just spraying Purell down under like their helmets and stuff. Like, what is this going to do?
I mean, it's like the scene in like 12 Monkeys when Bruce Willis is like leaving the down area and like being sprayed and everything, and you're like, yeah, what? I mean, this again, it looks like a dystopia. Like, this is crazy. And if one player is like, if a starter's infected, there's no way he doesn't infect other starters.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goal, the object of the game. The object of the game is to literally put your tackle a body, right? Yeah, get your fluid body onto and put it into the ground. And baseball's worried about chewing tobacco being shared.
Yeah, I think, well, and then this was what was crazy is he was talking about other things that I've also seen in the press where the NFL believes it will have live fans.
Right.
That seems to be their current posture. and he was saying like, it'll be reduced capacity, and actually college football just came out. Like Ohio State just announced its proposal for live fans, and it's like Ohio State normally has 110,000 fans, it's 20,000 fans.
Texas said they're gonna have 50,000, and they're like, we're sorry to tell you this, guys, but we're only gonna have 50,000 of you in this stadium. like they're letting them down. Like, sorry, guys. I mean, hey, we're all in this together, right, guys?
Good luck.
But then he was saying, like, the proposal that was on the table that he heard was, because you have so many season tickets already sold, and he was saying, like, first of all, the rule would be that you'd only have, like, say 20,000 people come in, but if you're in a group, you have to cohabitate. Like, so you can't, like, the three of us couldn't go attend a game because we would be breaking quarantine, and we would be like a bigger virus vector. So we would have to collectively prove we cohabitate, and then we would also get a temperature check. So imagine that would be like flying to Iran in terms of a security check. Like how long it would take to verify the home address and temperature of 20,000 fans.
It's already impossible to get in there before all of this happens. So like, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, and imagine, I mean, people are freaking out stone sober at Trader Joe's. Imagine what a drunk asshole with opinions about Dr. Fauci is going to do at a fucking Patriots game.
The NFL's already been convinced that terrorists are going to attack one. Ever since the movie Black Sunday, they think that they're the number one target for terrorists. Terrorists don't give a shit about football games, and they want all those fans to live because you're the morons. Yeah. That's why they're taking out financial institutions, not not Jaguars' home stadium.
That'll be the one of the interesting things about COVID has been about how, like, some of the theatrical things we do as American society that we always said were necessary, that we all knew weren't necessary, just went away when COVID happened, where, like, the city of Chicago said, we technically don't just need to tow you for a street parking violation. And they just stopped doing it. And I think the NFL might do something like that, where they're like, you know what? Technically, you could bring a person to a game. So I could see some of those, I mean, they're like, most of the NFL's security regulations are really just designed to sell more merchandise inside the stadium.
Sure.
And to prevent you from bringing stuff in.
There was a quote that you would like, Sean. They also put out a rule. It's not a rule, whatever. They said that players aren't going to be allowed to swap jerseys at the end of the game. Like, usually they find a friend and they'll swap jerseys. Yeah. They said because of COVID, they're not going to let them do that. And Richard Sherman and people are like, this is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to play a football game, but we can't swap jerseys afterwards. And the guys were like, all right, we know. Give us a break, man. Come on. He's like, listen, if you're driving drunk 90 miles an hour down the wrong way of a highway, you still got to put a seatbelt on. And it's not like he's like, I know it seems silly, but come on, let's not do. It's just one thing we can get rid of.
Well, now we're seeing like a different.
That's what his actual quote was.
That's amazing. And that's what we're seeing now is like we're seeing a different.
So we're playing the season.
All right. Yeah.
But we're seeing like what were previous theatrical things that never really led to safety being tossed away because, like, oh, you know what? We never needed that. I'm sorry. We never actually.
That's so funny.
But now we're replacing it with different theatrical things where we're pretending that help with COVID.
I know.
That don't.
Yes.
It's
changing
like,
baseballs after every pitch and shit. Yeah, this has nothing you can do.
Baseballs after every pitch. This is the safest we've. You hear so many people go, "We've really thought this through," and it's like, have you?
Oh man! All right, let's switch it up and let's wrap this up with some tree talk. What do you say, boys?
Oh,
sounds great.
Psychotic sports fans. One of our favorite psychotic sports fans of all time.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Al from Dade County, Dadeville, right?
R.I.P. What was the guy's name?
I think it was Al from. Well, at least on the radio.
It was more southern than that, or maybe it was his son. His son was like
Bear.
His son was Bear. I don't have the article in front of me, but
I'll pull it up. It's but anyway, it was Yeah, after Auburn beat Alabama, he poisoned the Auburn trees at Coomer's Corner.
Poison an ecosystem.
Yeah, and these were like legendary trees, super old, part of the university's identity. And I remember this when it happened, and you and I were dying about
Harvey Updike, by the way.
Harvey Updike. It was an amazing because it was
Father of Bear Updike.
Yep, he poisoned the landmark oak trees at Cooner's Corner.
It was it's this
Tuner's Corner, sorry.
morning zoo Alabama show, and this guy who poisoned the trees calls in.
That's how he got caught.
That's how he got caught. 100%.
He called in as Al from Dadeville.
Yes, he did, and
phoned into Birmingham.
It was one of the greatest summaries of just sports radio and morning zoos I've ever heard, where they're like, we're talking about the catastrophic loss we had this weekend. Everyone's joking like, I hate those motherfuckers. I hope they all die.
Right.
Just total violence up and down the left, and then this guy calls in and goes, well, I'll tell you one thing. Them trees on their campus ain't gonna last much longer. And they're like, oh, caller, what are you talking about there? And he's like,
he named a very specific poison.
Yeah, it was and the radio announcer's level of how their radio voice changes into sincerity as they realize this guy is fucking real is hilarious.
Yeah. When he named a specific poison, it was obvious he wasn't lying. Because there's no way he could joke about this or know about this unless this was like his job and he knew what he was doing.
Right. Yeah. I played the whole phone call in an earlier episode. Too Much College Football is the name of the episode. Take a listen. But the host doesn't really know what to do, so he just is like, did they die? And the guy goes, they definitely will die.
He's like, well, they're not dead yet, but they will be dead. He's like, well, I don't think that's. He goes, is that legal, sir? Is that legal? I don't care. Roll damn Tide.
He finishes it with Roll Damn Tide.
Yeah.
It
was the best sign-off ever. Roll damn Tide.
Is that legal?
And I just love this morning show not being able to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were stunned. It was stunned silence.
Yeah.
What do we do now? Do we call the authorities?
Well, it's also hilarious, too, because it's like their whole shtick for the last 15 years has been to glorify pretend violence against the enemy, thinking no one will actually take them seriously.
Kidnapping mascots. Whoa there, partner. We weren't serious when we said go find Cam Newton's house. We just said we just hope he lost the game now. But I love that. Wait a minute. So the trees are dead? Oh, they will be.
They will die.
So there's probably like a talk like, so can this be undone? Oh no, this cannot be undone. This is one bullet that cannot go back in the chamber. So anyway, he died. His son Bear announced it. And did he go to jail for that at all?
No, he did not go to jail. He got probation for killing for killing like 50,000 years worth of trees in a college prank.
They arrested him. He doused the landmark trees with herbicide so potent that archivists said they had little to no chance of survival. And
wow.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't go to jail. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant crime there. What are some other sports punishments? What are those two? What did the father-son that stormed?
He was banned from
the father-son combo that rushed the third baseman at Comiskey. What happened to them?
And that's always what's so funny is these guys get banned from stadiums. Like I think that guy is banned from the Auburn campus as though
right. Like
he'd want to go there.
Like a 6-year-old Alabama landscaper is going to be going there.
Those two guys that
still has season tickets to Alabama games.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Nate, I think they got those two guys got a.
Would they change the law after them?
They got a sports talk show in the South Side of Chicago. They were giving a show after Mike North.
Yeah, those guys.
They sell Polish sausage.
Junior and the Wrecking Ball. It's Junior and the Wrecking Ball coming to you here from the from the lower mezzanine down here in Bridgeport.
I've always wanted to see a 30 on 30 on that of people that have lifetime bans at different stadiums.
Stadium bans.
And like how, like first of all, just logistically, how is that enforced?
I know. Right?
Like how are you enforcing at the Palace at Auburn Hills that the guy who started the melee isn't actually showing up at a monster truck rally? Like how does that happen? And like just to hear all the stories, like there's probably 80-year-olds that have a lifetime ban at Notre Dame Stadium.
To go to every game for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I don't know, like lifetime bans at stadiums to me.
That's funny. You bring up the Malice at the Palace because that stadium just imploded like a month ago or something.
Oh, did it?
So I wonder if that guy can go to the new stadium.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like
transferable. Hey, yeah.
This isn't Auburn Hills. What a pretentious name that was too. The Palace of Auburn Hills. You know, always say like, "Fuck you, it's Detroit."
Well, no, but that was like, if you've ever been to like Detroit suburbs, that's Detroit suburbs, right?
No, I know,
they're like, oh, we have none of the downsides of the actual city of Detroit.
Right.
You know, this is the Palace of Auburn.
The Palace.
Yeah.
That is funny. Places like Pontiac and Royal Oak, they all definitely consider themselves Detroit, but not Detroit.
Yeah.
I just watched a Ron Artest documentary yesterday or this weekend or whatever. And obviously they go into that a lot. That guy tells a story. He was such an asshole. He just does like a cup flip and it lands perfectly.
It was a perfect shot.
And it's just ignited. And he's like, "Hey, I was just throwing a beer just like everyone else was." And I bet my buddy $50 I could hit him.
It was a beautiful shot.
It was amazing.
Shot.
But Ron Artest was so funny. He's like, "I didn't think it was gonna be that big. I just thought I was gonna go up there, choke the guy out, say, 'Hey, don't do that to me.' Turned out to be the wrong guy."
You fixed the wrong guy.
Then a riot ensues. This whole like half-hour riot ensues. You know, they're fighting all these fans, like Punchy, Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, and all these guys. And Steven Jackson tells a story afterwards. So they're finally in the locker room, you know, just absolute bedlam going up. And Artest goes to Steven Jackson, goes, "Hey, you think we're gonna get in trouble for this?" He was being dead serious. "You think we're gonna get in trouble for this?" Like, and he couldn't even like gauge it. And Steven Jackson's like, "What?" He's like, "We'll be lucky if we have jobs after this." He's like, I don't think we're going to play basketball ever again.
It might not be a league after
He's
this.
like, we better get ready to go to Europe because I don't think the NBA is going to allow us to play anymore.
My favorite, Jesus, there was so many good characters in that melee. The guy who decided the idiot fan that tried to step on the corner and go toe to toe with Jermaine O'Neal.
Right. And he came coming and he slid and he's like, actually, he was lucky I slid in beer so I couldn't get a full punch. Like, you know,
Yeah.
He's like, it was just a circus. The whole floor is covered with beer. So 6'11" guys are slipping all over the place and just throwing. And against these 5'7" fat Detroit Piston fans. It was one of the most amazing combinations ever.
Alcohol had nothing to do with it. That's the thing that's extra psychotic about Al from Dadeville is, he was stone sober. He took tree poison to the Auburn campus.
Oh, absolutely.
First thing in the morning, 1 cup of coffee, black, no sugar. Let's go. Let's go poison some fucking ecosystems.
So, Sean, you think?
Like, I was just gonna tell another, like, I'm from Cleveland, and we had the Nickel Beer Night disaster.
Oh, yes.
But there's a great that quote that Ron Artest said reminded me of. There was this. The Rangers had this one really good hitter. I think they had Mike Hargrove, and then they had Lenny Randall. I think it might have been Lenny Randall, but I think he may have won the AL batting title the previous year. But anyhow, he went 4 for 4 in the game. And then it was the only game that Major League Baseball canceled in like 200 years. Like it wasn't a forfeit. It was a cancellation. But like they're asking all the players after the game, like, what do you think? They're like, I've never been anything like that. I'm there. And then like they get to Lenny Randall, like, what do you think? He goes, does that 3 for 3 count for my average?
Absolutely. Of course that's on top of his mind.
Care at all.
Right. Disco Demolition Night, that was in between a doubleheader, right? So they just canceled the game. They canceled the game.
They canceled. The second game never happened. So
but
there
they
was
played the first one.
Yeah.
I always love that when they do the documentary on that, when Harry Carey tried to calm the crowd down, like everyone just lighting fires. He goes, "Hey, you guys don't want to get the Loop in trouble, do you? The Loop," which is a classic rock radio station in Chicago. "You guys, come on, kids, you don't want to get the Loop in trouble." The Loop.
What are the call numbers for the Loop? 90.
That's 96.9, right?
90.
That's amazing.
Or 97.1, I forget.
That's amazing. You guys all owe the Loop a big apology.
Yeah.
Apology. And a thank you.
The Loop went to a lot of trouble for this night.
Wow. Well, tell the story about this tree behind us.
Well, this is on Sean's theory that people do not get in trouble enough for drunkenly destroying our environment. Yeah, or nature. Absolutely. Oh, what happened to my thing?
Yeah, so it reminded me a little, like, I couldn't believe that guy. I hadn't heard about that guy since he poisoned the trees, and I just assumed he went to jail for a sizable period. And
I know.
when he died this week, it floored me that he didn't do any time in jail, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me a little bit of the world's most isolated tree, which was in the Sahara.
Mm-hmm.
It was such an old tree that had roots deep enough to go to like this tiny, like wellspring that only it could reach. Is the world's I think it was something like no other vegetation was within something like 300 miles of this. It was
like the tree of Tenaire, it's called, and travelers used it as like a guiding post for centuries.
Yeah,
it's the only tree for 250 miles in Niger Sahara Desert.
Okay. And a drunk driver ran it over. No consequences. I mean, but think of
nowhere else to crash for
exactly
square miles. One thing you got to watch out for. One thing.
It's such a great summary of drunk driving, though.
Yeah, it's this tree that's the only relic that there was actually vegetation in this desert at one point. You know, it's just still the toughest of times. They say, according to this article, in '73, it met its match when a guy ran over it with his truck. He was following a roadway that traced the old caravan route, collided with the tree, snapping his trunk. He hit the only obstacle for miles. When he was drunk and he plowed into it.
Well, that's what happens. Most traffic stops, like when you see like a cop at the side of the road, like, you know, doing a traffic stop, get hit, or it's because drunk drivers, they'll follow brake lights.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, they call it target fixation. That's what they do. Like, yeah, they get fixated on the wrong things, but it's such a great drunk driving story, because, like, you know, when that guy got behind the wheel, like, somebody was like, "You sure, buddy?" And he like, "What could I possibly hit?"
Well, look at there's nothing out here. It's literally the Sahara Desert.
What am I?
All right.
What am I hit? What am I hit? The only tree in the country, drunk?
There's no trees out here. It's a desert.
What am I? Some sort of asshole?
And so what happened to him? Well, that was fucking the '70s. First of all, where drunk driving wasn't even a crime.
Yeah, I seriously doubt he faced any kind of consequences.
Well, I read the article. He never got. They don't know who it is.
They don't. Oh, okay, yeah.
They never found him. They never found him, but the people who wouldn't rat him out would definitely told everybody that he was drunk.
Well, that's definitely something you don't self-report. Like, hey, you don't leave a note like, hey, I bumped your car. You know, if you need anything, give me a call. Like, yeah, you know that tree back there about 300 miles that way. Yeah, that's gone. That's chopped in half.
Yeah, you don't leave a note. Hey, I hit your tree. I'm pretty sure it's important to you. I'm pretty sure it saved millions of refugees over generations and centuries. Anyway, I'm the reason it doesn't exist anymore.
There it is, the desert. The Sahara Desert. Every time I hear Sahara, I get reminded of another famous. I know we got to wrap this up, but another favorite VLR story. The author of Sahara.
Oh, that is one of my favorite stories of all time. Yeah, we probably do need to wrap up, but that is that. For anyone who's wondering what we're talking about, is the Matthew McConaughey movie.
Yeah,
Sahara is based off of a very successful book series. It's kind of like a Jack Ryan, Indiana Jones type. Like he finds lost treasures.
Allegedly successful, because this actually changed laws.
Yes. So this is what was fascinating about it. And he's got a great hero's name. It sounds like a porn star or something like that.
What's the name of the movie? Sahara?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big desert epic. It's one of the biggest bombs in cinematic history.
Yeah, Steve Zahn's in it. And it became...
I actually watched it recently. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It just it didn't live up to the hype. And they didn't want to hype it up because of all the lawsuit problems they were having with the book. So what ended up happening is they had some sort of licensing agreement with the author. And actually, I think the agreement had nothing to do with the reason the movie was bombing, but the movie just didn't do super well. And there was some sort of disagreement about the money that was being paid. And at some point they must have been like, well, what are you even complaining about? You're a super successful author.
Right.
You've sold millions of books. And he's like, what are you talking about? You didn't know this? Book sales are a total lie.
No one keeps actual track or record of like, if you claim I sold 90 million books, you can just claim you sold 9 million books.
Like the New York Times bestseller list, right. It's all self-reported by the publishers. Yeah. It's not like investigated by the New York Times. So like it's all a lie.
It's kind of like the way baseball stats were in the 1900s, you know, like, Ty Cobb had 9 hits today. Put it down, whatever, you know.
They just buy a couple trucks of books from themselves, and then that's like.
But you could just call in the numbers. You don't even buy. You're right. You buy some of the books and say 5 million were just sold.
And it's going to go to trial in like the publishing industry. Like I don't remember all the details on the lawsuit, but the publishing industry is like, this can't go to trial. Like we're fucked. Like we're and like other publishers are doing like friends of the court brief and like like you will eliminate the book industry in America if you put this Matthew McConaughey movie on trial. Like we're done. There won't be printed word tomorrow.
The trial is famous for a couple things. One, the biggest one was like changing the laws of no one checks records of book sales. 2, this author was like some crazy racist, like this awful racist, and he was on the stand, and he's openly racist, and he's just saying all these things in this huge court case. I was like, oh God, and he's just fucking dropping.
It was great. The prosecution wasn't even disputing the facts; they were just asking questions like, "What do you think about Mediterranean people?" Going off like, okay, Jews.
All right. Exactly. I mean, it was like all across the board.
And it was like a Law and Order judge where he's like, okay, I'm gonna allow it.
Only because of the entertaining value.
But watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, it was like one of the first times they had an itemized list they had to read in court of what they spent money on the budget, because they spent like $80 million on this movie. So it was stuff for like, $400,000 for Selma Hayek's hairdresser and shit like that. It was just like, cocaine, $5 million. It was like an itemized. You just saw how absurd.
Well, didn't they get in trouble? They got in trouble because the buying off local government officials was a huge money item, which is technically illegal. Like you technically can't do that, and like just the producers didn't know, so they kept receipts. So they're also like huge cost of this was we had to buy off the head of the Environmental Protection Agency in Egypt so we could blow up a river.
Clive Cussler is the author's name.
Yeah, he's a horrible person.
The trial's amazing. That trial would make a great movie. Like the trial is amazing.
I know. We've had enough fucking OJ trial movies. Let's get a damn Sahara trial movie on FX or something. Jesus. All right. Well, that should be doing it. That's a good show. Sean?
Oh, thanks for having me again, guys.
No problem for having you on your own show.
Thanks for having us, Sean.
Okay. Good job with the backgrounds and a new computer.
We did it. We finally put that tree back up in the Sahara.
Yeah, its memory lives on, right?
Yeah, finally. Yeah. R.I.P.
Dirk.
VLR favorite.
Dirk Plitt, I think, is the name of McConaughey's character in that movie.
That's an amazing name, Dirk Plitt.
That's great. Sean, you're working on your book. You drunkenly texted the other night. How's that coming along?
Good. I'm done with the story parts. It's right now. It's sitting at. It's less pretentious than this is about to sound.
Okay. and first of all, I don't like that because that's not your brand. Your brand is pretentious.
Yeah, let us have it, Sean.
You're not pretentious. You're condescending.
Don't say
you know what?
anything,
That's right.
Sean.
That is right. Have I ever told you that story, by the way, real quickly? I was at a bar one night, and I'm with all our good friends, Adam Burke, and I've just done a show. And
the editor of your book, right?
He's editing my book as it is,
Okay.
and I've done a show, and I go. Jess has just criticized me and my wife, and I go up to Adam and I go, she says I'm pretentious. Can you believe that? He goes, what? No, you're actually one of the least pretentious people I've ever met in my life. And I go, thank you. See? And she goes, you moron. I said, you're condescending. And he goes, you are the most condescending person I've ever met.
You probably even know what that word means. I'm condescending. That's condescending.
Sean, you got a chapter about dangerous alcohol in your book?
So so I'm done with the stories. The book is called Places I Can't Return To. Each chapter is a place I got thrown out of or doesn't exist anymore. And I'm done with the stories, but now I'm inserting within each story is scientific or historical tangents, maybe the trial about the Sahara or something like that. But anyhow, I don't think I'm going to put this in the book, and it's just something I wanted to talk to.
Let's get it out there. We'll make a clip out of
it. One of the stories is about how I was at a bar. I was very young, and my buddy's like, let's do a shot. I'm like, I'm way too drunk to do a shot. He's like, come on. I'm like, all right, it's got to be an easy shot. And of course, what does he do? I don't know why I would trust one of my friends to actually execute that request. He buys Bacardi 151. Which is, I don't know if you guys have ever had that. It is a discontinued rum. It is discontinued rum. Most rum is at 70 proof. Bacardi 151 went up to 151. And
40 proof. It's 80% or something like that. Or is it 80 proof, 40%? I forget how it works.
No, so your percentage is half the proof.
Okay, so it's 40%, 80 proof, right?
Correct.
Rub
So
151
means it's like 75 percentage alcohol.
People or bartenders would use 151 if you had like a flaming drink just to top it.
So you know why they would use that? That's interesting, and what I'm getting to.
Okay.
It's extraordinarily flammable. Like half the bottle is that it's a flame, and it was famous for having this metal like kind of washer on the top that was actually called a fire arrestor, where if the bartender did it the wrong way and poured it into flame, the flame wouldn't travel back into the bottle, because if it did that, it would kill everyone at the bar. And I just always thought that would be like great as like, imagine the person who invented that. Like Bacardi 151 was a staple at bars for like 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the person who invented that fire arrestor is like probably living on the greatest house you've ever seen in Malibu.
Yeah, very comfortable life.
I just love like entering that person's house and going like, geez, Sally, what do you do for a living? Oh, like I'm an engineer. I invented the fire arrestor, the Bacardi 151 from becoming a bomb, and
I saved sorority girls.
Yeah, it's, in the state of Florida, it saved more people than smoke alarms. And
All right, so you get you a shot of 151.
And he gets a shot. So I'm not going to tell the whole story about what happened. We're actually maybe
What?
I should
Tell the story. If you're not going to put in your book,
I was gonna go into all the different dangerous alcohols that I don't want to drink again. But
Okay. Do that too.
No, because the story is good too.
Like Everclear and stuff like that.
Yeah, Everclear. But no, the story's better. So I do this 151, and I should say, this is like a super cold night in Cleveland. And when we were coming in, I was drinking all these accountants I had just met that night that were like stuck in Cleveland. They like got on they boarded, they're supposed to be in Spokane, Washington. They boarded the wrong flight and they're in Cleveland.
You know, you throw up, Sean?
Did I throw up right now?
No, like, are you a puker or are you bulletproof?
Well, no, not, when I have a shot of 151 after what I thought was going to be I realize I'm going to have to vomit. Okay.
They were supposed to be in Spokane, Washington, but they wound up in Cleveland.
Yes, they boarded just straight up the wrong plane. And,
these are your people, Sean.
and
Straight up the wrong plane.
These are your people,
for
buddy.
September 11th, that used to be really easy. As a businessman, that
was a quick flight.
If you like back in the day, like I traveled a little bit for business before September 11th, and if you had a tie on, you were allowed to board unless it was going to Paris, you could board whatever plane you wanted.
Right this way, sir. Never been to Paris.
Yeah.
Shout out to the one.
So I'm drinking with these guys. It's a super cold night in Cleveland. There's a long line, so they pay to get us in early. But there's like a super long line outside of this bar in 5-degree Cleveland weather. We're all loaded. I do this shot. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna vomit. And I realize the bathrooms are further away from the exit. So I'm like, I'm just gonna run outside of the bar and vomit. And I start running full speed towards the exit doors. And I get up ahead of, because it had like these big heavy doors. So I get up ahead of steam to like punch my way through. But like, as I do that, the bouncer opens it to like let another couple in. And I just like fly through it. And I go airborne, and there's these concrete potted plants. And I just go head first into it, fall straight down, vomit. I'm bleeding bad.
From where?
My head. Like I have like from here to here is like open. And what I love,
the couple turns around immediately.
No, that's what's amazing. No one got out of line. People see me run out, do that, and they're like, "Yeah, I still, I want to see what's going on in there."
That sounds like this looks like a place for us.
So this is actually where the story. So then I wake up. The story gets even crazier. I wake up. I have all these pots around me. And it turns out I'm at one of the accountant's house, and they were worried I would vomit in my sleep, so they just put pots around me.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I'm like, okay, fair enough, whatever. I wake up the next day. And I don't know if I've told you this part of the story or not.
That's a great drunken cleanup plan by drunken people too. Let's putting pots around
thwarts around the person so they can't flip over.
No, go ahead, keep going.
I have a job interview the next day.
Of course you do. You always nail these jobs.
Network engineering. And I go in, and I have a pretty sizable wound on my head.
that is still open.
So I patch it up and I go in, and it's a big wound, and I don't think I'm gonna get this job. But I tell the first guy that I injured myself installing a network cable, that I hit my head on the desk. And he's like, "Oh, wow, you must have hit it really hard." I'm like, "Really hard." And then I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. So then when you do tech interviews, they bring in they'll bring in a developer to ask you questions. Then they'll bring in an architect to ask you a question. They bring in like these different people. So then I'm like, I'm not going to get this job. I'm just going to tell a different person a different lie. Why not? And I end up telling the last guy, I tell that an eagle dropped a rock on my head. He's like, what? And I'm like, no, that's how they kill turtles. You don't know that? And I go, that's how Plato died. Which I was at the time, I was 90% sure was true.
I've heard you say this many times.
I later found out I was wrong on that.
But as you famously say, not as wrong as you think I was.
It was actually, it wasn't Plato. It's one of the Greek playwrights. I forget which one, but right. I think it's the guy who did Oedipus Rex, but it wasn't Plato. But I'm like, yeah, that's how Plato died. He's like, what? I'm like, you didn't know that? Yeah, Plato died,
You didn't know that?
And I get the job. And I always thought that is such a great way to explain the differences in interviewing for a job today versus now. And that in the mid 1990s, the job market was so good. You could have an open wound on your head and you could do a straight up lie about how Plato died.
Sophocles wrote Sophocles.
I looked it up. Sophocles.
Yeah, I looked it up too. So what about eagles would drop rocks to kill turtles?
Yeah. No, eagles would actually take turtles up and then drop them on the rocks. Yeah.
To kill them.
To kill their shell and eat them. Yeah.
And you're saying that was dropped right on Sophocles.
Yes.
And that's how he died. And that's how you.
One of the Greek playwrights. I'm not sure now. In my interview, I said Plato, though, 100%.
In retrospect, I want to say I think he looked past your head wound and hired you because of your absurd Plato story. He goes, well, if this guy's going to make up this lie, imagine the entertainment he's going to provide at the Christmas party.
You kind of got to make things work.
Oh, man. That's amazing. All right. That's how we're going to end the show. Sean, thank you very much. Sean Flannery, worldsdumbestman.com. I'm going to ask you what's going on, but nothing's going on. COVID's going on. How you doing with the kids and everything at home? Horrible?
Horrible. I'm lucky we recorded this early. I get kicked out of rooms because they're doing Zoom meetings,
Right. They have your phone.
I live in hallways.
Well, you got a good setup. It actually looks like you're sitting in the desert next to that tree.
Yeah, no.
I wish I was there.
Like the shadow from your hat.
Mine's giving out. I need lights. I'm fading away. I'm like a Back to the Future photo. I'm just fading out of existence as my mom and dad don't dance at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
All right. Well, let's call it. Good work, boys.
Yep.
Good to see you again. CJ Sullivan in Hollywood. I've been Nate Craig, and that's Sean Flannery in Chicago. Thanks for listening to the Visitors Locker Room, everybody. Stay tuned. Find CJ's Pick of the Week in the Instagram story. We're doing
roll damn
Pick of the
tide.
Week.
All right.
We got sports.
Later. Oh, I'm going to end this.